Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. We have previously featured several artists to talk about their craft. Today we'll be speaking with someone from an art gallery. He's the one who determines which pieces has the potential to catch the client's attention. Joining us today is Emilio Preysler Dizon. He is the director of Provenance Art Gallery, which features contemporary Filipino artists. Welcome to Trade Talks, Mio. Thank you so much. Or do you prefer me to call you Emilio?
Please just call me Mio, Tito Ferdi. And thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
I'm very excited because, here on the show, we do feature artists, gallerists, and, people from the industry. Mm-hmm. You are my youngest guest in the gallery industry or the art industry. How did this happen? How did you start? You're 27.
Yes. Tito.
And you're running one of the more, how should we say, prestigious galleries with your parents.
Well, thank you, Tito. Well, I was blessed that I grew up around art. My parents have been collecting art for about 30 years.
Yes.
And naturally, growing up in high school and in college, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to carry on my parents' legacy and everything that they've built with the gallery and just ultimately do them proud and serve the artists and continue to build those relationships that my parents have built.
How were you doing an internship with the gallery or just watching your parents deal with clients or even artists?
I would definitely say it was a mix of both, Tito. If you know my parents, every day was like an internship.
Well, I don't know, because the way I know your parents, every day is a party.
Well, that as well. But being around my parents, being exposed to the different clients, the different artists, these amazing artists, was always a treat for me, even when I was in school. So inevitably, right after college, I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Okay, so you mentioned that the gallery's been operating for about 30 years, Provenance. And what are the top 5 lessons, top of your head, that you've learned from your mentors? I wouldn't even say parents, I'd say mentors, because they did build the business.
Yes. So my parents have been collecting art for about 30 years, and they opened Provenance Art Gallery in 2015. It was founded then. And I would say the one lesson that really sticks out to me is that my parents always instilled in me that we work for and with the artists, and that we just want to help amplify their voices and put them on the best platform possible.
I like that. We work for and with the artists, as opposed to I'm the gallery owner and I'm the boss, right?
Exactly, Tito.
So
yes.
What does that really mean, for and with the artist?
Well, for us at Provenance Art Gallery, Tito, we see ourselves as strategists, as amplifiers, because we're really here to make louder these artists' voices and just to shine the spotlight on our amazing Filipino contemporary artists.
Because, of course, notwithstanding Raul and Joanna's vision for the gallery, how did you learn how to look at an art piece or an artist and their trajectory and say, okay, this particular person has potential in our gallery?
Well, I know it's a very cliche line, but art is really subjective. And for my family and I, we try not to overthink it. We like to present art that we personally like ourselves, of course. And we also take a look at the history of the artist, their pedigree, what's their resume look like. Those are things that we take into account as well. But ultimately, we present art that we like, and that's what makes the job fun, is, having these relationships with these artists, getting to see what kind of work that they produce, and helping amplify their voice.
How do you gain their trust? Because obviously, they're putting pieces on, you're putting their pieces on your walls, but that's like from them. It's like part of them.
Absolutely.
That's an absolute trust factor right there.
Yes, and that is exactly why, Tito, we don't take our job lightly. We take it very seriously. And like what you said, these artists are sharing a part of themselves with us. So we see it as our duty to do them right and to pay respects to them and their work.
And of course, you're young. And it's tough for somebody like you to tell them, hey guys, I'm actually legitimate. I'm legit in this business. How do you translate that to them when you meet them for the first time?
Yes, well, I'd like to believe that just like any industry, relationships are so, so important.
Yes.
And I think what the artists appreciate and see is that I'm incredibly passionate. Just like I've learned from my parents, I'm very passionate about what I do. And at the end of the day, we have the best interest for these artists. And when we're able to get that across to them and show them, I think that's how we're able to gain their trust.
Yeah, but of course, they've got their own set of eyes, right?
Yes.
And eventually, and I hope that you take over the business while they gallivant around the world in a fancy yacht or a nice little restaurant in Palermo. How then do you translate your voice into the pieces that you want to put on the walls of the gallery?
Well, how I translate my own voice, Tito, is that I like to reach out and work with artists, as I said, that I personally like. My parents have their own taste as well, and a lot of my taste has to do with theirs also. But as I said, we just try not to overthink it. We present artists that have a strong visual language and artists that we feel like can translate and connect with our audience.
Does price matter?
Inevitably, Tito, yes, price does matter. But what I always tell our clients is that, you can find great art at very reasonable, even affordable prices. The price tag doesn't determine the value, the perceived value of an artwork.
I love that. The price tag does not determine the perceived value of the piece or the artwork. Like, that being said, how do you look for artists? Do you look for artists or do they go to you? Because obviously Provenance is very established.
Yes. Well, when I came in 2021, Tito,
Yeah.
I was very lucky that my parents had set a very strong foundation at our gallery with a number of great relationships. So for me, it was just a matter of addition, adding to these relationships, right? And a lot of these artists that we work with, we've gained their trust, and they even share with us, friends of theirs who are amazing artists as well. And every now and then we do have artists, well, we have a lot of artists who do apply with us. And we look through their portfolio, see how we can make it work. And we work very closely with them. We work very closely
How
with
do
them.
you reject an artist that you don't think it would work with your cachet of artists?
Well, I guess we don't like to see it as rejecting artists, Tito. Just like, just like every artist has their own genre of works, we feel like that every artist, every gallery has a home and has a place in our industry.
Right.
So we feel like there's enough space for everybody, no matter what, in the art industry.
Okay, so you have brought, Provenance is in a five-star hotel, and previously to that, there's also a junior store or junior gallery close to it. Now you brought it to a mall.
Yes, Tito.
Why?
So I believe that the best example is our ongoing project, like you said. It's called Bridging the Gap in Power Plant Mall. And it's really a culmination of all our efforts, really just trying to put on display these artists in a high traffic area that has a very mature market like Rockwell, and where these artists can ultimately be seen, can be appreciated by a wide audience. And so far, the reception has been amazing, Tito. It's been very exciting, and it was great seeing you come by the other day too.
That's why I asked you to come on the show, because instead of spending money, I think I'd rather talk to Mio and see what he's up to. But how do you, because there are a lot of galleries in different malls, right? What's your unique or edge over these other galleries?
Yes. Well, like I said, Tito, every artist and every gallery has a place in our industry. Every gallery has its own market, just like we have our own market. And we believe that, we wanted to fish in new oceans and further build our market so that, the careers of these artists can continue to be sustainable, so that they can get more people to support their art and follow their work.
As a young art leader, what's your vision for expanding the reach of Filipino contemporary art to both local and global audiences?
Well, my parents and I have always believed, Tito, that Philippine contemporary artists can compete anywhere in the world. We feel like they can make a statement internationally, regionally, and that's why through our efforts we've had shows in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Midtown Design Hub. We've had shows in Davao, and we look to expand further and do special projects.
That's interesting. I'll get into the regional one, but locally, do you think that collectors in like other big cities, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, and the like have a market or a mature market that will appreciate or even think of investing in the pieces that you've chosen?
Yes. Well, when it comes out to reaching out to those markets, Tito, we believe that you can't see new landscapes without new eyes. So we like to show this audience in Davao and Cebu and the like that we have artists that are capable of some amazing things, art that they've never seen before, art that they can still connect with, So even collectors surprise themselves that, wow, I didn't think I would really love this piece, but they find themselves connected to it and they fall in love with it.
I know that your parents actually mentor young artists that they've discovered, let's say, in different universities in the metropolis. Do you also help them I wouldn't say mentor, but do you help them on the business side?
Oh yes, absolutely, Tito. I think in the business of art making, painting and art making is such a big facet, of course. That's what produces the work. But another huge part of it is the business of art. So that's what we try to impart on them, is that creativity is one thing, but so is the business side of art.
Do you become their business partner?
Well, yes. I mean, the fact that we're able to work together in our gallery and work with them, it is a relationship that is built on trust. So, yes, I would say that we are like business partners. But what's great is that these guys are our friends. They're like family to us as well.
Nice.
So that's where we have that sense of trust and comfort with each other.
Well, we're going to chat more, okay, Mio? We're going to take a short break. Trade Talks will be right back. You're back on Trade Talks. We continue our conversation with Emilio Preysler Dizon. He is the director of Provenance Art Gallery. So before the break, we're talking about you being a business partner of these artists, right? But before that, of course, gallery is a business, right?
Yes, Tito.
And your parents have built a reputation of being one of the more prestigious galleries in the Philippines. Do you think you're missing out on other markets that are not invited or can't go to your gallery?
Well, Tito, we know our market very well. And as I've said, every gallery has their own market. Every collector, artist gallery has a place in our industry. And we know who we want to talk to. And just like the artists choose which gallery to work with, we also are very selective when it comes to who we're talking to. We don't want to just have a shotgun effect. We like to kind of keep it target shooting in our
Nice.
gallery.
And do you think that the gallery, like for example the one in Power Plant right now, do you think that's just not a gallery? Do you think it's an exhibition for people to enjoy, to look at?
Absolutely, Tito. A big reason why we chose Power Plant Mall is because not everybody has the time to go to some amazing galleries around the metro, but everybody does have the time to go to malls. They can do multiple things there, and it's a matter of convenience as well. People can pop by our gallery, see art that they like, and come back another day and see it again. Like, I hope to see you again later this week.
Oh my gosh, I hope not. I don't want to spend because, your mother's going to get a phone call from me. But, there are a lot of artists in, let's say, places like Baguio and Rizal. But do you think you can really find artists everywhere in the Philippines?
Yes, Tito, absolutely. Our country has so much talent, and we work with artists from Cebu, from Bohol, from Aurora, from Pampanga. We work with artists from around the country, really. And I think that's where social media and the internet is a big, big help.
I know who you work with in Bohol. That's why I held onto my pieces from this particular artist because I know Joanna Preysler is going to help me with increasing its value. Okay, talking about that, when is the right time to start collecting art or purchasing art?
You know what, Tito?
What age?
What age?
Yeah.
Well, if I were to speak to anybody, I would say if you're truly interested into art and you're in it for the love of appreciating it and falling in love with the pieces, I would say as soon as possible. But what I do tell collectors that your taste will grow. Sometimes pieces that you connect with at 24, you won't resonate with as much as 26. Or even pieces that you felt meant something to you at 50, maybe you don't feel the same way at 55 or 60. So we find that it's absolutely okay if your taste in art evolves. But as far as when to collect art, there's no better time than now.
You know, that's absolutely right, because the first piece that I bought from Provenance was really different, right? Because I had a different taste, but your mother, Joanna, has actually helped shape the pieces on my walls.
Really?
Yes, it became from the light to like more intricate, more interesting, more textured, more conversational in
Yes.
that aspect, right? How do you feel about digital art?
How do I feel about digital art? Well, you know, I feel like that space is still growing. I feel like it's a space that's still maturing. And, you know, as I said earlier, you don't see new landscapes with new eyes, so I wouldn't shut it down yet. I'd like to see where it goes. I'd love to see what artists do with it. And as of now, we already have some amazing artists that work with video art, installation art. So I'm honestly really excited to see where that goes.
It's been quiet for the past, I'd say, 2 years now. It was really hyped up, especially during the pandemic.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, to me at least, it flatlined. Do you think that's a trend?
I feel like in that moment during the pandemic, as you said, it was the flavor of the moment. But I think what it served is that it put it on the map, right? Whether it did feel like, oh, it waned a bit or not, is that it put video art, NFTs, and the like on the map. And now people are aware of it. And it's exciting to see how it's going to grow in the next 5 to 10 years.
Top 5 artists that you think, in your radar, do you think will be big in the next 5 years?
Oh, man. You know, Tito, it's like asking who's your favorite best friend or who's your favorite guest. So that's a tough question. But
I can answer that question. I don't know about you.
But you know, off the top of my head, and I'm sorry it's not 5, but I would name artists like Jojo Barha, like Hamilton Sulit, Mark Padernal, Jeffrey Ordilio, Arturo Sanchez, Bjorn Calleja, Mark Arcamo. You know, I can keep going, honestly. Tito.
Yeah, but were these artists introduced to you by your parents, or were you the one who actually looked into them and discovered them, quote unquote?
Well, I'm proud to say, Tito, that amongst my favorite artists, of course, a great number of them are relationships that my parents have had, and I've grown to love them because a big part of it is that I grew up around their art, you know, because my parents have been collecting for so long. But I'm proud to say that some of my favorite artists now are artists that I've developed relationships of my own, that I've connected with myself, and now I'm happy to say that we're working with them.
Okay, what about when two clients clamor over one piece? Who do you choose? Is it the one that you just met or the one that you had a relationship with already?
You know, Tito, that can be a
because it happens. I will attest to that. Raul Francisco, if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, you know, that can be a sticky situation, Tito, but for us, we like to keep it nice and simple. Whoever inquired first, whoever reached out first, to keep it fair.
Really?
Really.
Relationship doesn't matter?
A relationship always matters, but you know what?
I'm trying to get a piece, that's why.
And you know, the relationship does matter to us, and that's why we would get across to them that, hey, you know, we'd love for this piece to go to you, but this other person inquired first.
Yeah,
so.
What about your opinion, art competitions? Do you go to them? Do you think it's a thing, or do you get to discover new artists in these competitions?
Yeah, so there are a number of different art competitions and art awards that are very respected in our country, and I think just as any good gallery would, we do keep an eye on those things, see who's been nominated, who's been a finalist, who's been an awardee. So yes, those are absolutely things that we have a pulse on.
All right, so few more questions for you before I let you go. What was your first art piece that you purchased?
Oh, so my first art piece I got a couple of years ago from one of my favorite artists and a very good friend, Mark Arcamo. It was a small watercolor on paperwork, and to this day I still have it hanging, and it's one of my favorite pieces because it is my first piece in my small collection. So, yes.
What about, okay, next question. This is the business side of it, right? What is your worst investment at the young age of 27?
At the young age of 27, my worst investment has nothing to do with art, but it was crypto back in the day, I would say.
Really?
Yes, I tried my hand at it, didn't work out for me, so I haven't touched it since. That's why I tell everybody, stick to art. It's a great investment, and if it doesn't work out, at least you can say that you love the work and that you connect with it, you know?
What's your best investment?
My best investment, as cliche as it may sound, I would say art, because even if, you know, the artist doesn't become a superstar or anything like that, at least it's a piece that I know that I love, that I can connect with, that that I would still like to keep hanging in my home. And yeah, as I tell myself and tell our collectors, we should collect with our hearts.
Favorite mistake?
Favorite mistake? I'll plead the fifth on that one.
We'll talk off camera, right? Thank you so much, Mio, for coming down and chatting with us and making us see art through young eyes like yourself.
Thank you, Tito. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Cignal Channel 24. Thanks for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel. Always on top.